you have the ability to sidestep a lot of repetition. Use it as a tool. Don't have it as a crutch. And stay up to date with the new updates and the new AI infrastructure that's coming out. I think being ahead of the curve is great, but make sure that that creative spark is coming from within, and you're not relying on AI for that. And maybe in the future you will be able to, but I think right now we're not there yet.
Doug, do you want to say anything?
I agree. I agree with everything Michael said. I'd say AI is a great tool. I think there's a lot of great stuff out there that can.
Okay. So, welcome to AI for Thought, the podcast where we explore the latest perspectives of leading AI influencers around the world. And today we have Michael and Doug with us, who are the owners of Greenlight Group, and they create custom strategies for the new era in digital interaction. So, today we have a very interesting topic to talk about, that is how to stay motivated in the age of AI. So, I want to ask both of you that AI is changing the way that we are working and we are interacting. So, how do you guys stay motivated, and how do you motivate the influencers that you're handling?
I think AI is very exciting, and it can also be a bit scary for folks. We try to focus on ways to use the tool and enable our content creators to use the tool effectively for it to streamline content creation processes and storyboarding, and stay in a positive mindset about how to use the technology and try to keep up to date. It's moving very quickly.
I also think, just to add to that, that AI is a really great tool that is very retrospective in nature, meaning it can absorb a lot of things that have been done in the past and sort of spit out a derivative of them. But one of the things that we focus on at Greenlight Group is working with clients that are really authentic and very relatable and sometimes kind of low production value. And these are folks who can tell stories about their life and relate to their audience in that way. I think it's still difficult for AI to do that kind of a thing. And I frankly think that AI is going to continue to have a big impact on content creation and shorten idea generation times. But I think the more impactful AI gets, you'll see still a large number of influencers who are ultra unique, who AI can't predict in that way.
So, what are the biggest, mindset challenges that you guys faced when AI was, in hype? Because now it's not very common. But when it started to get in hype, what were the biggest mindset challenges that you faced, especially with the AI influencers?
You're saying with hype? What are you
Yeah,
saying exactly?
yeah.
Can you explain the question a little bit? So you're asking, was it difficult to get people to adopt AI
No,
without hype?
yeah. Was it difficult? And when AI became in hype, and when there were so many tools, did your AI influencers, become demotivated? Because AI was becoming very common, and there's so many influencers now, and there's a lot of content clutter. So basically, influencer management is not the same after AI. So do you think that?
No, I
I
wouldn't
don't
say
think
so.
that, yeah, I wouldn't say that it's changed a whole lot quite yet. I know there was a range of reactions. Some of our clients got very excited and started diving into each and every AI tool that they could get their hands on to try and understand the technology and how to use it, and gain an advantage with it. And others, weren't bothered and just went about creating content as usual. I think we haven't gotten to a place where the content that AI is creating is indistinguishable from authentic content creation. And
Yeah.
I think as a result of that, we haven't seen a big shape up with our folks. Now, Cop is a good friend of mine, and I think he's a good example of someone who's really been on the forefront of creating AI content. And he received a ton of backlash initially when he started just, creating full on AI. It's his content has gotten better. The AI content has gotten a lot better, but it's still not quite there. And I think it's very interesting, but think we're at a phase right now where it's very early, and there are some aspects that folks can use very tastefully to make great content with AI, but we haven't gotten to a point where it's completely autonomous.
Okay. So what do you think about those AI influencers or AI avatars, which are very common nowadays on Instagram? You already answered the question that they cannot take over the human influencers. In a way, you already answered that. But what is your take on that? What's your take on those AI avatars? Do you think that in the future they're going to be getting more followers, more engagement as compared to human influencers?
I think so, yeah. I think you see 100% AI influencers, but
Yeah,
you also see YouTubers as well who are who are pretty prominent and pretty successful. I think there'll be a lot of those, and they'll continue to make a bunch of money, and there'll be new iterations of that coming down the line. I do think fundamentally, though, something we tell our clients a lot is if you really want to succeed on social media and be a top tier influencer who's at the top of whatever niche you're in, eventually you're going to have to show an audience something unique that they haven't seen before. You can be derivative for a period of time. You can be the next big car influencer that makes engine breakdowns. You can be the next big technology influencer that shows people how to build computers in a new way. All that's kind of borrowing from influencers who have come before. I think all really, really successful influencers who are celebrities in their own right are doing something that's pretty new, almost entirely new. So I think there's always going to be room for that human element of innovation, but AI is very useful as sort of a content generation tool or um, taking enabling influencers to take shortcuts on a lot of things that were very manual in the past, like editing and things like that.
that's right. So when you're talking about, taking over all of those manual tasks, can you tell us more in detail that what traditional tasks are now done by AI, by your influencers specifically?
There's a lot. Michael can speak to some of this too, but I mean, YouTubers, when they're making content, frequently they'll write a script before they go and film, or they'll draft up sort of a storyboard of what videos are going to look like ultimately, or they'll concept out what a thumbnail is going to look like, which is the image that appears before a YouTube video runs. A lot of that in the past has been very manual and taken a lot of resources from humans to go out and research and graphic design, and AI is actually pretty good at that. There are a lot of tools that do that well.
Yeah. Subbing and dubbing as well, I think is a big one, and something that wasn't as common before AI uh, because it was a difficult and pretty manual task to do. I think folks that are using AI very effectively right now are mostly using it in the research, storyboarding, mock-up, pre-production aspects, and maybe a little bit in the editing stage. Um, Not as much of generative content. Although I will say, personally, I enjoy the AI faceless sort of storytelling AI channels that have an AI voiceover. I think the really good content that's coming from those channels, it still has a human touch to it. It's not fully autonomous. There's the storytelling and the writing definitely is not fully made by AI. But the audio generation is really solid, and I think matching up images, or at least conjuring up images to then throw in there, it's pretty solid. Like you have a lot of, I think, weightlifting, like stoic philosophy style, short form content on YouTube it's done elegantly with AI right now.
That's right. So there are a lot of influencers that are currently emerging after, specifically the emergence of AI. So every other person is now influencer. Everyone's, making their Instagram page. And I think that's important as well because branding and self-branding has become more important after AI. So what message or, what message do you have for them, that how can they actually maintain their creativity along with, using AI and saving their time?
How can influencers who are emerging today with the use of AI maintain their creativity and maintain their
Yeah.
uniqueness? I think I think AI is a way of sidestepping a lot of repetitions that a content creator might have to go through to get to a certain level at ideation or at scripting or at thumbnail design. Um, but as we were mentioning, I fundamentally think that if you want to grow a massive audience that's truly unique and be at the top of your game on a platform, if you just want to be sort of a middle of the road influencer, there's nothing wrong with that. But if your goal is to be sort of a superstar level that's at the top of a platform, like I said, eventually you'll have to present the audience with something unique. And I think that takes kind of a human quality to it. So I think that AI can be a way to sort of establish in your mind the boundaries of what content creation has been in the past, sort of what is typical of a thumbnail, what is typical of scripting, what is typical of sort of the visuals that you show in a video. But I think it's going to be very tough for AI to sort of predict proactively where consumer tastes are going. I'm sure it'll do a better and better job over time, but I think the human element is still going to be important.
That's right. So, how important do you think is it to show your face specifically? Because that's an online debate that's undergoing. That how important is it to show
Mm.
your face online, or can we just use AI to create carousels and faceless videos?
Well, I think it depends on what your goals are in being a content creator. We know plenty of folks that do faceless channels, and um, they can be very successful, and there are ways to entertain audiences without showing your face. Um, Fundamentally, being an on-screen personality, showing who you are, having authenticity in your content, uh, it allows for a deeper connection with the audience. And on the business side of things, a majority of brands and marketers are looking to advertise and work with folks who do have an on-screen presence, who have somebody to point to, like, this is the creator that I'm watching, this is the person, the human, versus like this is the show. Um, there are plenty of awesome, like, TV shows and documentaries that aren't necessarily focused around one particular character. But I think what folks are really connecting with online is another human being who's there, who is showcasing themselves. And I understand, for some folks, it seems attractive to be able to do something faceless and keep their identity private and have success online and still have a private life and be able to go out in public and have folks not recognize you. So I understand why that's attractive, and there are certainly folks who do quite well, make a lot of money doing that. Um, but there aren't top of the line superstars necessarily, unless of course you're running an animated channel, which that's another story.
That's right. So a lot of people, because there's a lot of content clutter, and like we discussed, that every other person is now, going towards personal branding and, becoming an influencer. So there's a lot of competition online as compared to if you look back 10 years. So how can you actually combat this burnout during the age of AI, especially when you're talking about influencers?
Well, I think we're still super early. It may
Yeah.
seem right now like everyone's an influencer, but I think we're still extremely, extremely early. Most content creators these days, very rare would you find an influencer who's spending more than a couple $100, a couple $1,000 on a video, maybe. Top YouTubers are spending tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, millions, but that's like the upper echelon, fractions of a percent of creators globally. So when you compare the kind of budgets that individuals have decided to spend on their content versus what traditional entertainment has spent on creating their content and their entertainment, I think we're still very early in terms of social media's sort of rise as the dominant entertainment form.
That's right. So what social media platform do you think that new influencers should actually target, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok? So what platform do you think that they should target where they will get less amount of competition, but can also show their creativity?
Social
Uh,
media platforms they're designed so like they're designed to match content with an audience that likes
Yeah.
that content. So like an effective social media entertainment platform is going to show like you're making a specific type of content for car lovers, it's going to show that content to car lovers. Um, so I think the idea of competition or saturation of the market, more people on the platform, I don't think that causes an issue. That said, the algorithms change over time and depending on what type of content you're making, one platform might be better than another. My personal opinion right now is if you're doing short form content, you can grow fairly quickly on Instagram Reels. I think Instagram Reels has done a great job, essentially, replicating the early TikTok algorithm, what we're seeing there. But if you're making long form content, YouTube is king, and there's no one close to competing with them.
That's true. So now, right now, you guys are just, managing human influencers. But like we talked earlier about AI avatars. So do you see yourself managing AI avatars in the future as well? And if yes, would your strategies be different?
I think it'd be a lot of fun actually. VTubers is something I've thought about. Yeah, I think it'd be a ton of fun. Um, I don't think it would be fundamentally different. I think that um, well, maybe if you didn't have to
Yeah.
schedule 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 cars to come and pick up people or um, maybe you'd communicate only via like text chat with that person. If they're 100% AI, yeah, that would be a little bit different. But I think fundamentally, when you're representing a big influencer, what you're doing is keeping money coming in the door, making sure that they're monetized and they're doing okay, and they're doing well, but also helping to craft a larger story over the course of their career that spans a lot of different things. So where are they being interviewed? What brand partnerships are they doing? Are they collaborating with other celebrities? Things like that. So I think in that aspect, it would probably be similar, but maybe there'd be some weird small things that are different because you're talking to an AI. Yeah.
That's true. So what role do you think that personalization and storytelling specifically is playing after the emergence of AI?
Storytelling in what sense?
When it comes to specifically influencers on social media. So, what role does personalized storytelling basically play after the emergence of AI?
I
What
think
role does
it's played a very big role and it will continue to, and I think it's become even more popular, I think, after the emergence of AI. And again, I think we're very early with AI, so it
Yeah,
could change, but right now, uh, it's still a little uncanny valley with a lot of the AI content, and so authentic, personalized storytelling um, is more valuable. I think audiences, there's if it's in their algorithm to where they're
yeah.
seeing a bunch of AI content and they're into that, maybe they don't care as much, but from what we've seen it's definitely authentic creators and real stories that connect with audiences um, are extremely valuable.
And how much do you think does the role of engagement, like replying to comments, replying to
Mm.
messages, has played after specifically AI?
I think replying to comments is always important. I think as you grow as an influencer and get to a certain size, you just can't reply to everyone.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of successful influencers have either have at one point in time gone through a phase where they replied to fans and sort of taken fan feedback. And I think just in general, taking in fan feedback is a key characteristic of all successful influencers. So in that sense, an AI that in one way or another, whether through comments or another way, is able to constantly take in an audience's reaction and then adjust based on that would be super successful. So if that's the direction that AI is going and it's able to, take a sentiment analysis of comments and understand what the next video needs to do, it would be great.
That's true. So this brings us at the end of the podcast, and I would just like you both to give a message out to the new influencers that are watching us, and how should they be motivated after the emergence of AI?
Michael, you want to go?
Yeah. Uh, AI is an excellent tool and it makes it easier to jump into content creation. As Doug mentioned earlier, there's you have the ability to sidestep a lot of repetition. Use it as a tool. Don't have it as a crutch. And stay up to date with the new updates and the new AI infrastructure that's coming out. I think being ahead of the curve is great, but make sure that that creative spark is coming from within, and you're not relying on AI for that. And maybe in the future you will be able to, but I think right now we're not there yet.
Doug, do you want to say anything?
I agree. I agree with everything Michael said. I'd say AI is a great tool. I think there's a lot of great stuff out there that can really shorten production times and take a lot of weight off the shoulders of content creators. But fundamentally, the audience wants to see something that's unique and different. If AI can help you do that, awesome. But that should always be the goal, is delighting the audience and giving them something they've never seen before.
Okay, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for tuning into this conversation. This episode is part of a special short series I'm recording. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're enjoying these episodes and want to see more, let me know.